So a very good evening, Vinitha and Badrunissa. Thank you so much for joining me for this talk. And before we start with some questions that I have for you, I would like both of you to tell me about your educational achievements and professional achievements, starting with Vinitha.
Thank you, Sunil. It's a pleasure to be online with you. And I am Dr. Vinitha Ramanath Pai. I am a postgraduate in medical biochemistry from Kasturba Medical College in Manipal. And I did my PhD from Mysore University in biochemistry, following which I did postdoctoral fellowships. One was a Department of Biotechnology, Government of India sponsored postdoctoral fellowship in Indian Institute of Science, where I worked for almost 30 months. And then I went for a very short spell in University of Louisville, Kentucky, US, for another postdoctoral fellowship. And I've also qualified as a postgraduate diploma holder in bioethics and medical ethics. So this education has been, it's still, every day is a learning experience, but these are the degrees that I have. I'm currently working as a professor in biochemistry, teaching all the undergraduates and postgraduates of health science, different branches of health science. And also, I had the Center PhD program as director at Yanapoya Deemed to be University at Mangalore in Karnataka state.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Vinitha, and welcome. Badrunissa.
Very good evening to both these stalwarts sitting here, and it's my pleasure to be with you this evening. I'm from a very small region of Karnataka, that is Bellary. Now I am already settled at Bangalore. I have completed my UG studies at Bellary, and I have received my master's from Gulbarga University, Gulbarga, in the field of biochemistry. Further, I got my PhD from Yanapoya University, Mangaluru, under the guidance of Dr. Vinitha Ramanath Pai, who is a professor of biochemistry in medical college and also a director of PhD programs. Presently, I'm serving for Krupanidhi Group of Institutions at Bengaluru, Karnataka, and I'm heading the quality management system for all the organization under the umbrella of Krupanidhi.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and welcome to you too. Okay, so now let's start with the questions that I have, starting with Vinitha. Vinitha, tell me about your interest in plants and what got you interested in this specific field.
Yeah, plants as a source of flowers, we all know, because all of us had gardens in front of our houses and behind the houses also. The front portion used to be for the flowers, and behind the house used to be for the vegetables. So we know that we used to go and pluck the flowers for prayer. As small as 3-4 years, we were asked to pluck flowers for prayer. So we knew this. But as I was growing up, I realized that even for small ailments like a stomachache or a toothache, my grandmother would just walk into the garden and pick up a few leaves and then say, bite this or chew this, or she would make a decoction out of that in boiling water and give it to us, and the pain subsided. We got relief from whatever it was. Like, then while I was growing up, I also noticed that when there are small children in the house, even for them, like if it starts raining and they become a little cranky, they say, oh, she's going to get a cold. Even before the cold comes, she will go into the garden, get some leaves, keep it on hot pot, and then she will just smash it up with the hands and rub that juice all over the body of the baby. Baby will sleep very peacefully whole night, and next morning baby is fine. So all these things, the small medications, like if you complain of stomach pain, they will say you ate this, you ate that, because of that you have stomach pain, but they will give us something to drink, buttermilk with little hing powder and little salt. They will, say drink this, and the flatulence used to decrease
Yeah.
with that. So there were so many home remedies. We hardly ever went to the doctor, hardly ever, unless the fever didn't subside for 6 or 7 days. Only then we were taken to the doctor. Usually the fever would subside with these medications within 2-3 days. And so a lot of these things I have observed. Even there is so, and then I when I started doing my graduation, I was a botany student. So when I was learning about the plants, the botanical names and things, then I correlated. Oh, what grandmother used to bring was Folius aromaticus for babies, and that works even in the adults. Even later also, when I was working, some days I used to be extremely tired, and then if I come home and tell my mother I'm feeling totally body ache and I feel tired, she would get that Folius aromaticus leaves, keep it on the plate of the hot vessel, and then take the juice and rub it down my hands and legs, and I would sleep like a baby, sincerely like a baby, and next morning I would be fine. So like this, I started correlating that these plants are for this. So, but then even as a graduate, I didn't know about how these leaves actually work. How do they work? Why are they effective? I knew all the combinations, the various leaves and things, but I didn't know what it was that makes them medicinal. And that question mark never came to me at that time. It was only after when I did my post graduation and when I did PhD, but I started thinking about this. What is that there in the plants? For some things they would take the root. For example, for jaundice, they would take the whole plant. There's something called Philanthus neruri. They would take the whole plant, mash it up, put it in water, boil it, and give it for drinking. So some plants, they would take only the leaves. Some plants, they would take only the stems. Some plants, only the bark. It was really confusing. What is it that is actually active, kind of? So only later, when I was doing PhD, I started reading about all these things, and I realized that why these plants are medicinal is because they have something called phytochemicals. They are secondary metabolites produced by the plants for their protection. And these phytochemicals, they have biological properties like antioxidant properties, antibacterial property, anti-carcinogenic, anti-cancer property, the anti-immune, immune modulatory properties. There are plants with immunomodulation properties also. So this is when I realized that these are the compounds which are inside the plant and which is responsible for whatever relief we are getting when we consume this. So that was the first dawning, kind of, that the plants can be used. Although there is a lot of this home remedies using plants, there is no scientific validation of these things. Scientific validation of plants as effective medicinal source has come only recently. Only recently people decided. Ayurveda people use plant products, formulations and things, homeopathy use, but they also don't know what is the mechanistic properties of the compound. They know this plant extract can be used for this condition, but what is in that extract which is bringing about the effect, even they are not aware. But now people are very much into scientific validation of the Ayurvedic formulations as well as the homeopathy extracts. homeopathy concentrates, whatever they put in those sugar granules and give. Now they are very much into, because we have an Ayurveda college, homeopathy college, naturopathy college, and many of the researchers are working on scientific validation of already known effective medications, which they are using in the clinics.
Thanks, Vinitha. Very inspiring. Any specific examples you would like to give of your parents and grandparents and their association with plants?
Nuts. As I told you, Coleus aromaticus, that is used for body ache. And also they would squeeze the juice out into a spoon, just a little, maybe about an ml, add one small sugar candy bit in that, just hold it on the flame till that dissolves, and then they would ask us to drink it for cough and throat irritation. And if we have toothache, and toothaches, they are so nagging, they come only after 8 o'clock in the night. They are fine. But after 8 o'clock, shin, you can feel them. So that time, if we tell, she would go and bring Cedium guajava tender leaves, that is guava plant. The tender leaves of that, she would just take it out, hold it like this, and say, chew this or bite this. So we would bite it, and it used to subside. Another medication for tooth was clove oil. Dip cotton in clove oil and keep it. If there is a caries, they would keep it in that. For acidity, the cover of pomegranate, the hard part, outside part, was to dry it and keep it in plastic containers.
Okay.
Anytime acidity problem, we never heard of antacids.
Okay.
Never. So one piece of that would be put in milk, boiled. The milk will turn yellow. Okay. And that milk is given morning on an empty stomach, night before going to bed, twice a day.
Okay.
And acidity becomes less.
Oh, wow.
And there is another leaf called Erythrina variegata. It's a heart-shaped leaf like this. Okay, it has lovely red bunch flowers. It used to be used as fence.
Okay.
Fence, actually. So that leaf would be put on charcoal. Okay. Burning embers, the embers of charcoal on both sides. So the leaf becomes a little warm. That would be used to ferment the chest and the back if the children had congestion. They would just pat it dry like this in the evening before going to bed, and morning after giving the baby a bath, they will do this and then cover them nicely, make them comfortable, and they would sleep well. So this was another one. And then we had Tulsi. Tulsi, everybody knows. Yeah. Muslim family. Tulsi was one of the we used to put it in water, leave it in water, and next morning drink the water. And then this Centinella asiatica, Brahmi, what you call, that is very good for enhancing memory. I am a living example for that. Near our gate, we used to have a lot of this Brahmi plants. And I had to go and open the gate in the morning. My brother would take me to work. So till he comes, I had to open and stand there. So I would pick up 5 leaves from that and chew it and eat it. And I have done it for almost 5-6 years. I used to eat that plant every day, 5 leaves a day. Memory enhances a lot because of that. So that was something. Even now, people are still working on it for brain disorders, like as a remedy for Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease. Whether something can be done with using this Brahmi plant. So there are a lot of examples. Even for pneumonia, sand used to be heated on the dosa tawa. They would heat the sand on dosa tawa, put it into a potli in a cloth, and with that they would ferment the chest and back for pneumonia. So this was one of the remedies. And castor oil for deworming. I think that all over India, everybody has tasted castor oil as a dewormant. As children, they would give us that. We never had dewormant tablets those days. It was always castor oil, hold the nose and push it down the throat. And although it used to work. That is what I'm trying to tell you. Invariably, we used to get cured of whatever symptoms that we had. Many more like this. There was another plant which grows only, some of the plants grow only in rains. There's a plant called Tumbegida in Kannada. Leucas linifolia is the botanical name. This plant, the juice of this was put in hot oil, boiled, and that oil is very good for joint pain. Garlic oil is very good for joint pain. When the oil gets hot, just drop a few pods of crushed garlic, and that oil is very good for joint pain as well. So, like this, lot of remedies. Unfortunately, most of them have not been documented. Grandmother's mother probably knew it, and she told grandmother, and I have known through observation from my mother and my grandmother. But there are some families here where it goes down from one ancestor down the line, like they will give it only to their son's wife. If my grandmother knew something, she will tell her son's wife, not her daughter. Son's wife will tell her to her son's wife. It's like in the family.
Yeah.
The girl is given out to another family, so the girl will know. But the daughters-in-law will know, and it will come down the family. So there are lots of like this. People have given it to their daughters-in-law, and if they didn't have sons, it has stopped there. So like this, we have lost most of the information. And also the plants are coming down now. Many are becoming extinct, and some of them we can't even see these days. Erythrina variegata and all, now impossible to see it. Earlier we used to have it in the fence in the house, but now it is not. They used to specifically plant all these things because we need it. For any antifungal, neem juice of neem leaves used to be used as an antifungal. Any fungal infection, they would use that. For this thing, what is that? So even this thing for chickenpox and for measles, it irritates. So they would make a bunch of the neem leaves and keep this on the body so that it stops itching. For herpes, something like herpes, which now they give very strong tablets. Those days, tender coconut bark, the shell, the fiber of tender coconut, it used to be rubbed in water, and you will get a fine paste. As you keep rubbing it like this, you get a fine paste. That paste used to be applied, and that used to give relief from that burning sensation. Either it was tender coconut fiber, or it used to be chandan, red chandan, that they would do this and get the fine paste and apply it on the region where you have burning sensation. So these are all things which are, time tested.
Yeah.
And it works, which really, ignited my interest in roles of the phytochemicals in health, how we can apply it to health.
Thanks so much. Badrunissa, now you've come up with the patent, and I want to understand, how did you get the thought for coming up with this particular ingredient and this particular process of developing this ingredient? How did it all start?
Yeah, this is a life story, I can say, because the area where I resided is Bellary, what I said. This place is very much known for natural mining resources. We have hills and hills of mines there. And people, the roads are red, homes are red, because all the transport of the world mine goes from Bellary. Now, it is a common thing in Bellary people that they suffer with the skin irritations and respiratory diseases. They will not take this as a disease because it's a common thing for them. It's like that. But it was in my mind always that why everybody gets this. One is very hot. We go with 35, 40 degrees of temperature. In that, this kind of irritations, the skin rashes, reddening of the skin you see, whichever is, not uncovered skin will be having these rashes. And I used to observe the people who come from other place, maybe my relatives or my neighbors relatives, other people who will visit from other places. Their skin will be so clean, no this one, but only Bellarians will be having that. I also suffered with that. And also my daughter suffered from the childhood till she was around 15 years. She has been treated regularly for the skin disease. It is not a disease, they say it is, it happens, it is allergic. You keep applying this or you keep doing this, like that. And my brothers joined the industries. Because of that mining, you find the industries, iron ore industries surrounded there. And they either remove the iron from the soil, or they make it as an end product, as a steel, and it will be supplied. And there my brother joined that company, and he got psoriasis, skin psoriasis. And there again we were looking into. When I was thinking about this after my master's, I found that this is because of the organism which is developing in the coolant oils, which is being discarded either on the soil or in the water bodies. Now, the coolants are one of the important oils which will be used by these industries to cool their end product. During this process, the coolant oil gets contaminated with the bacteria because it all happens in an open system. And those bacteria, and they discard the unused coolants. They see after 1 week or 4 days, they are going to discard that particular coolants either on the soil or in the water body. Now, the people who are residing there will be affected with this. That is where my interest has come, where I thought of checking that what exactly is that which is making these kind of an issues. And literature supported me. The used coolant oils is being contaminated with number of bacteria. So that is where I started checking for what kind of bacteria it is. During that time, I have come across a bacteria which is an opportunistic pathogen called Pseudomonas. And this is the literature also supported, as well as the studies, and this one supported that this is the cause for getting the skin irritations and respiratory issues. That is where the interest of that key, something to be done and understand how this bacteria works. And we have to give some natural remedy to this, instead going with this chemical compounds or the tablets or all these things. Instead that I was thinking that can we work with something natural compound, something from the plant source, or some antigen which is natural and will not give any other side effects to it. That is how the thought has come, and I started isolating the organisms. Several organisms I have isolated, out of which I have narrowed down to this particular organism because this was a special organism which was causing these issues and surviving in any kind of an environment. That is the major thing which made me to go with this particular organism for the further study.
Very interesting. And Vinitha, how did your thoughts meet with Badrunissa's on this topic, on this particular organism? How did you get involved?
Yeah, actually, Badrunissa wanted to do PhD. She was already a postgraduate and working as a faculty in an engineering college in Ballari in biotechnology department. And she wanted to register for PhD in biochemistry. And what happened was that she wanted to register under a lady supervisor, as I understand. So
Yes.
we had a common friend, my friend, who was a research associate in the lab where I was working in Indian Institute of Science, was her teacher in her post-graduation days. So when he came to know that I have been recognized as a research supervisor for the PhD program, he contacted me and he introduced me to about Badrunissa and said that she is very keen on doing PhD and her interest is in Pseudomonas aeruginosa. So I told him I don't know a thing about Pseudomonas aeruginosa because I'm a biochemist basically, not a microbiologist. So I don't know much about bacteria. And second thing is that she is in Ballari, I'm in Bangalore. I don't know how it will work out. Then I was going to Bangalore. He said, you'll see how it will work out. Where are you staying in Bangalore? And what are you doing while you were there? So I was going for a conference and that conference, I made out how it will work out. She came there. She pursued, she came there. And then I think those days we didn't have mobile phones also.
Yes. Yes.
How she managed to track me down. And she came from all the way from Ballari to that place, to the venue where I was attending the conference. And she introduced herself. And then I thought, if she can come down just to meet me, I'm sure she will do well her PhD work. So that's how, and she told me about this problem, that this is what is really troubling me, madam, and I want to find a remedy for this. And then we spoke about, since my interest was in plants, we spoke about plants. And my two conditions were that the plant should be easily available in that area and it should be growing throughout the year. If it is growing only in certain seasons and not in certain seasons, then also there will be a problem. So something which grows annually throughout the year and it should be locally available so that people have easy access if they want to do something with it. They have easy access. Like my people had all the plants in the garden, so easily available. So that way, when I told her, she said she has already kind of ruled down all the plants available there, and she has earmarked 3 plants for the study. And so she had selected one particular species of Eucalyptus called as Eucalyptus terraticornis. And the other one was pomegranate. And the third one was guava. And I also had another condition that we'll use only the leaves. If you take the whole plant, for another plant to grow, it will take a long time, or it may perish also. This is the reason why most of the plants are becoming extinct. They've just been taken out from the root and then nobody has replanted and then it has just gone away. But if you remove only the leaves, there is a chance that the leaves will grow back and they will grow back. So that's the reason why we decided to go with the leaves. The source for whatever research we are doing was the leaves. Uh, that is how we met and matched our interest, and she started the work for PhD.
Okay. And Badrunissa, what are your thoughts on isolation of microorganisms, and how did you finally zero down on the anti-agent?
Yeah, I was that time when I met Madam, I was really very thankful that she was ready to guide me on the project which I was working on. Like, like when I said, Madam also said with her conditions, that was very, very interesting for me to go ahead with my work. And here I have started my study with coolant oils. I have collected the samples of coolant oils, not only from the industry, but also I have collected the used coolant oils from two-wheelers, four-wheelers, as well the workstations where this coolant oils been used, like mechanical stations where they do the oil changes for full four-wheeler, two-wheeler, and also the oil pumps where the oil is being thrown, the soil of that. All such different samples of these oils where it has been thrown on the soil, I have collected. Also, I have collected the used oils and uh, uh, try to understand that what kind of organisms will grow there. No doubt, there were several organisms which I could isolate from these sources, but there were 10 organisms which were morphologically unique, having a different kind of an colonies in their color, in their shape, in their this one. So we decided that we will take only that colonies which is looking different, not like a normal bacterial colonies. And out of that 10, we have narrowed down to 3 after our biochemical tests, as well as the PIV tool we have used, all the qualitative measures in the lab when we have done, we have narrowed down to 3 bacterial colonies, and we suspected that all these 3 are Pseudomonas. And further, these 3 has been put for the genetic study. We have done RNA study of these 3, out of which we have found out of that 3, there was only 1 was the Pseudomonas. And that was really a different Pseudomonas species. And that is where our interest in this to study more about the Pseudomonas has increased. And then after the confirmation of that, and the studies shows that that particular organism is very much antibiotic resistance, and it was very thermostable, and it was known for infectious diseases. There the literature has given us more understanding on this Pseudomonas, and that is how our uniqueness of this study has went on, where already Madam was very much with the plants and she was knowing about phytochemicals and all. With her guidance, we went through the biological compound as a remedy to this particular organism. And as ma'am said, that we have selected the leaves keeping in mind the environment protection. The plants, 3 plants were tested, out of which we have seen that one of the plant to be proved as one of the active, effective uh, agent, a compound having a remedy for this organism, where we have seen the cell count of this organism was decreasing when we were using that particular compound. And these tests, further we have tested that compound by authenticated labs for certain experiments like HPTLC, LCMS, NMR, FTIR, all such studies we have done on that compounds to understand its physico-chemical characterizations. And design of this translational research and the hypothesis finally led to this patented extract.
Vinitha, what was your interest on this topic?
Yeah, actually, my interest was mainly, it was a PhD study, and PhD studies are expected to give a novel result, something which is not already existing in the database. Some novelty should be there in a PhD study. The outcome should be a novel one. Some novelty should be there. So invariably, people stop saying that it has anti-Pseudomonas activity. They will not go further down to see what is the component in that extract which is responsible for the anti-Pseudomonas activity. So this is something which I wanted Badrunissa to do. See, we were planning to tell a story about how this compound is not letting Pseudomonas aeruginosa grow. So I didn't want to leave any strings untied. I wanted all the strings tied up so that there is nothing more to do in this. I said, at least we should make an attempt to see that. So when she came up with the idea that, this particular extract is more effective than the others, and it was really showing very good activity, I told her, now it's high time we found out in that extract, because it's a crude extract. So in that extract, which of the molecules is responsible for whatever that activity that is being shown. So that is how we went on to do all the characterizations, and we could identify the molecule. So we went back to literature. It's always going to literature and coming back to the table, going to literature, coming back to the table. So we went back to the literature to see if this particular compound was already known to be an antibacterial. Yes, it was known to be an antibacterial. That part was not new. Okay. But the efficacy of the compound against the Pseudomonas, which she has isolated, was much higher than the efficacy shown by earlier people against Pseudomonas from oral cavity. Much, much higher, at least 1,000 times higher. So which led to the hypothesis that this compound can stop or reduce the growth of bacteria in coolant as well. So that was what, with that hypothesis, we went ahead with the pilot standardizations and the pilot experiments.
Very interesting. I really like how it is all unfolding. So, Badrunissa, how did you come to the use of the antibacterial compound? Can you tell us more about that?
When we were testing this compound, then as a guide, she was very much strict to tell me, do the experiments. You have done this, you do this. You don't let this away, you do this. So this is where continuously antibacterial tests, more than 1,000 times I would have done that antibacterial test, either by keeping the organism stagnant, pH stagnant, temperature stagnant. Then I thought like the study is completed. When I went to Mangalore, madam said, no, it has not completed. Now you grow the organism and add the organism in percentile. That was the day where I said, oh, when it is going to end? That was my feeling really. Because I never knew that I'm going to grow that organism in liters. Because I was thinking, yeah, I'm doing antibacterial test and I'm done. Yeah, she wanted me to do the concentration levels, how much concentration is required. Yeah, fine, done. Now it was a different thing where madam's mind was. She said, you grow in liters that organism. I was thinking what I do after growing this. Then she said, you grow this organism, keep all your parameters same, add the organism 1 ml, 2 ml, 3 ml, like that, and you see what concentration of your organism is very effective with what concentration of your compound. That was a real new experiment which madam has designed for me, and I have to work with that particular thing. That has given me a clarity that when I'm using 1 ml of the organism, after 24 hours, how many multiplications are happening? That is where we have, madam told. I said, how do I measure? Ma'am said, do cell count. Take a simple cell count. That's all. It was very easy for madam, but that time it was really idea which really has worked out, where we have drawn such a great graph with that showing that without the compound what we have isolated, how the bacteria grows, what is the cell count number per hour, and with the compound how the cell count decreases per hour. It was really a beautiful graph, which even now if I see, I love that graph to look into it. That is where we understood that really this compound is working and reducing the bacteria. Bacterial growth has been reduced. Not only this, again, madam made me work on which cell wall of that bacteria been killed by this compound. You have to check. For that, I have to go for docking, and we have matched which enzyme this compound is binding to lessen its growth. That study also we have done, where we confirmed ourselves that yes, this is working. The best advantages of all these studies is like there I started thinking of its applications. Then I thought like when I was reading the literatures, I used to see so much of, the oil spills coming, the stagnant waters with biofilms, the stagnant oil films, what you see. All that was an environment concerns. And a thought is like, we can reduce those bacteria if we make something spray kind of thing with this, where because it works in a normal condition. You need not have a particular temperature, you need not have a fridge or anything. It works in an open thing. That was another good part of that particular compound. And it reduces environment pollution. That was the major thing. Then the second aspect of it is this compound reduces the health hazards, which is related to pathogenic contaminated bacteria. See, the bacteria which we have worked is the highest level bacteria which is affecting the people. The bacterial colonies, the one which is lower, having lower metabolic activities than this Pseudomonas, will be killed very easily with this. So I can say that the pathogenic contaminations of the bacteria can be very easily reduced using this, and specifically the diseases of respiratory system and skin infections. It increased if I have to, as my study was with coolants, then we have to apply for the coolant because I have to complete my third phase of this study. That time when madam has given me an idea to do the pilot studies, use some machines, you use and let me know how it works. That time we have used this up till 30 liters of the oils with with this compound, without this compound. That test we have done, that has shown a very, very clear results to us, where it has increased the coolant life. The coolant which was to be discarded in 1 week of time, after adding this compound as an additive, it stayed for 3 weeks plus. That was the most important thing what we have found. That reduces the cost of the coolant replacement. Like the companies replaces the coolant in 1 week. If they're using this as an additive, if they replace in 3 weeks, then 2 times cost of the coolant is been very effective for the company. So this was the great study. That is where the interest and thought of patenting it, all such kind of things has come to our mind.
Very nice. And Vinitha, what are your thoughts on the pilot study that was done? What is your perspective?
Yeah. See, the initial stage of research is all in laboratory, in vitro. It's called in vitro experiments, where we look at things in the lab setting. But the same scenario may not be true in the field.
Yeah.
So invariably, if we are saying this is an antibacterial compound, then we have to check it in action, in field, right? And obviously, no industry is going to let us put our thing into their coolant. So since she was working in an engineering college, and I asked her, do you have any machines where they use coolant? And she said, yeah, they do have in the mechanical section. We decided to use 2 of the instruments in one. We will not add anything. They will treat it like they do every time. The other one, they will do what they have to do, but we will add our compound. And at the end, in a timely manner, we will draw one sample of the coolant from both, from the control as well as from the additive added machine. Like that, in a time-dependent way, we will collect samples and then look for the bacterial. So she did that, and within 18 hours, the only difference was steel industries worked 24 hours for 2 weeks at a time, and then they stop and change the coolant, fumigate it, and then they do a second round. But here, the machines were working only 6 to 7 hours a day. That was the only difference. But still, it was worth seeing whether what is the count of the bacteria with time, and is the coolant losing its coolant property? When the microorganisms grow, they need carbon for their growth. And they don't know that this is not food, it is coolant. It is carbon for them. So they start using up the carbon from the oil, as a result of which the coolant loses its coolant property, oil property, and it becomes water-like. So we decided to do the bacterial cell count as one validation. The count is growing in the absence of additive. It's not growing or growing slowly in the presence of additive. That was one validation. Second validation was to check for the viscosity of the coolant. Is it more towards the viscosity of unused coolant, or is it going more towards the viscosity of water? If it's going more towards viscosity of water, that means the oil has been used up. So with these 2 as our outcomes, we did this experiment. And by 18th day, when the microorganisms grow, you get that foul smell. So by 18 hours, the control was giving a foul smell. So they had to remove the oil from that. Whereas the one containing the additive, it went up till 21 plus, almost 24 to 25 days without smell. Without smell. Not only that, the bacterial count at that time when we stopped the experiment had not crossed even 1/10 of what had come in 18 hours in the control. very low. It was very, very low as compared to the control machine when we stopped the experiment. So
Yes.
these two things very clearly showed us, although it was not total absence of bacteria, count was very less. That means it's not growing. It is static. So then when we decided that now we have to give a mechanism, how exactly this compound is playing a role in making the bacteria static, not multiply. It is stopping the multiplication, but not killing it at the same time. So then we did in silico docking and we found 4 targets which could possibly be affected by this molecule, which will stop the growth of the bacteria. So there are softwares where if you give the molecule of the target and the molecule, it will go and show you where exactly it can sit on the molecule. So one such experiment showed us out of the 4, only one target, only one molecule, this compound was going and sitting. And then we went on to see what is the role of that target in the growth of the bacteria. So it said that it is required for recycling of some compounds for the growth of the cell wall. So if you inhibit that target, this recycling will not happen. So the bacteria cannot multiply. That is why it was bacteriostatic and not bacteriolytic. It did not kill it, but it did not let it grow also. So this is how we tied up all the strings in the story. So we even gave a mechanism, how exactly it happens. Also, we did one additional experiment that was, she kept the oil with and without the additive, open jars and closed jars. The open jars, the cell count was growing. But the one in which the additive was added, the cell count was very low. And closed jars also, we found something similar result. So it ended up in, it was a very good story. Because, she has written in her discussion, extremely, as I said, no strings left loose. Everything was nicely tightened up, and a very interesting thesis Badrunissa came out.
Wonderful. Badrunissa, what are the challenges you faced in this entire process? And I have also another one question. Apart from this coolant, can this extract be used in other areas as well? Does it have applications in other areas as well?
I'll answer your second question first. That other areas of usage of this apart from the coolant. Coolant was one of the application for this. The whole study was between the bacteria and its antibacterial compound. Now, all our study has shown that the bacterial count is coming down. And it also have shown the MIC, the minimum inhibitory concentration of the compound comparatively with the studies is very, very less. That is, this says that we have a compound, the one which we have patented, that compound is antibacterial compound. So anything related to bacteria, we can use this particular compound. Like if you say that the bacteria is available on your floor, use this compound as an antibacterial agent. Idea is to reduce that bacteria. If there is also the challenges happening now that the OTs operation theaters also been contaminated with Pseudomonas, the tables, even the autoclaved instruments, right? All that if we can use this compound as one of the material as an antibacterial compound, you can use anywhere as an antibacterial compound.
So it has
However,
multiple uses, multiple areas, not just in a
multiple
different.
uses, only we should have a mind where we are going to fix it, and we should have a proper formulation that how we are going to give this. It can be a cosmetic, it can be a spray, it can be a solution, it can be a anything which is made up of this can reduce the bacterial count.
Can it also be used in skincare, body care?
Yes, it can be. It can be. Anywhere a kind of lesions are there, pus formations are there, where the bacteria is growing, you can use this compound as one of the antibacterial agent. So this is the broader area of its application. However, in our study, we have given one of its application, that is coolant we have taken, because our study and idea hypothesis started with coolant. So we have to give the story close there. So we have used the coolant as one of the part. So when we have used the coolant, we made sure that after adding this compound, coolant should not lose its property. So we have done the test to check the coolant's property by checking its viscosity. After addition, its viscosity being checked, and during the use, its viscosity being checked. So that is where our results have come across. And
yeah, and the challenges.
And your first question is about the challenges. There were many challenges. To say few which were really big at that time for us is getting permissions, especially from industries, to get that used coolant oils for isolation. It was really a great challenge. However, we have done with proper permissions from the industries to take that sample and study that sample. And designing hypothesis. And for me, madam has designed the hypothesis. She used to tell me first phase is this, second phase is this, third phase is this. But it was really, it was a challenge for me to understand that how I have to set up this experiment, what result I will get. If I will not get, what happens, how I have to do, and where I have to set up this experiment. That was designing that hypothesis and writing down the experiment steps and completing that task, then keeping all that results till I discuss that results with madam. It was always for me like what she says, what she says, what she says. That was really, but now it is really an enjoying situation. But that time it was really a difficult time because I was working as well. I have to do these things and I have to do this in time bound. Like I have to finish my PhD in these many years and I have to do in this 6 months. 6 months report, madam will ask. And during that time, I have to produce the result also. That was a real challenge while working. And finding out a proper lab for authenticated results. Like we went with genetic study, we went with characterization. Finding out a good lab for the study was again a challenge for me to complete this. And finally, the pilot study, when madam said, the big question in my mind was, who will the owners, the machine, cutting machine tools who are using like lathe machines, or though it was a college lab, but convincing those owners to use their machines for a new thing. They were like, when I say this is plant extract, they were like, why do I should use your plant extract? If something will happen to my blade, what is going to happen to my machine? That was real risk. And it was real challenge to convince them and do that pilot study. But understanding the final, this one was understanding that patent process. So much of how much I read for the thesis, more than that I read while patenting it. How to patent, what to patent, whom to find, whom to reach, how to reach. It was real challenges. These are big challenges which I can say.
The challenges are what makes the life so interesting. Without challenges, what is life?
True, very much
So
true.
good.
These plants are so have their mind of their own, because all species of a particular plant does not have the same phytochemical concentration.
Hmm.
Based on the climate, soil, again, in the same species, the phytochemical concentration can change. Seasonal variations can be there.
Yeah.
There is so much of uncertainty. Every point you have to check from A to Z. Otherwise, you don't know where exactly, if it doesn't work, you don't know where exactly we have gone wrong. So we have to start from A again, go till there. So I told her one time, make a bulk and keep.
That is where I learn. Every time I do bulk and keep.
Once you make a bulk,
Yeah.
all the tests, and then, we even checked whether the compound, the extract that she has prepared, the shelf life,
Yes.
whether it is valid, how
Yeah.
long it's going. And we saw that it was, even after 2 years, it was giving good result.
Okay.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So
5 years also we have checked, no ma'am. After 5 years also it was.
she has checked. But one thing is that, Badrunissa, that you did all the standardizations, all sorts of controls that we have, thought of this control, that control, and we have done everything. That is the reason why you didn't have to do any experiments after you filed for the patent.
Yes. Only we were giving the results whenever the
Whatever results they asked,
patent
we
people
had it
were
already.
asking. Yeah, we were having every result we were having. We have not done any new test after applying patent.
People normally, the moment they realize this is antibacterial, they apply for patent.
Yes.
And then within 1 year, they have to do all the standardizations, everything. So we didn't have that gender. All
Yes.
was ready.
We were ready with the data.
With all the tests.
Whatever, whatever they were asking, it was there with us. Only we have given, submitted.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And finally, I want to thank both of you for entrusting us with this beautiful and efficacious ingredient that you guys have created and allowing us to use it in our home care range. And I'm really grateful to you. And we'll be launching it on our website this month, coming month. And let's hope, that everybody sees the benefits and they also appreciate and they use it in their homes, and fingers crossed. But thank you so much. And yeah.
So
Thank you. Thank
giving
you.
this
Thank
opportunity
you for
to tell our
conducting
side
this.
of the story.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.